Shall I compare thee to summer's day? So art more lovely and more tame.
You are aware that Sonnet is directed at a guy, right?
Wait, it is? I mean, of course I know that. I'm not an unread fool like you.
Who are you calling unread fool?
And here we go again.
Okay, that's it.
Key, you have to decide which one of us you want.
That German.
Or the fox guy.
I choose...
Hello there, my name is TricKey. I'm a German fox guy. I know a very romantic episode we could review together. Interested?
Sure, sounds fun. Let's go.
I will murder him.
At least that's something we can agree on.
The Perfect Pear is the episode people have been asking for since season 1, perhaps even more so than the Celestial Luna episode we just got.
That's right. We finally get to meet AJ's parents, everyone. And they're as adorable as they are dead. Which means very much. 'Cause they're dead.
Unless a very bad writer comes along, because they still refuse to say it out loud.
In a way, though, I actually like that they didn't explicitly say it. In fact, how they handled this subject of a long-gone relative was done exceptionally well. Just the tone of these characters, somber but nostalgic, is often a mood we don't see in animated media. We usually see when the death is fresh and raw in people's minds and hearts. Here, these ponies have grieved and are more happy than anything to actually talk about their loved ones freely again. It's actually kind of sweet.
That's actually a pretty good point. Most shows deal more with survivor guilt than anything else. But let's do it like this episode and talk less about death than romance.
Speaking of which, oh my cadenza! We finally have a well thought out romance in this show outside of Mr. and Mrs. Cake and my fanfictions! You didn't hear that last part.
Now, someone is passive-aggressive towards Cadence and Shining Armor.
At least in the show, and not including the comics, because comics aren't really canon. But yes, Pear, Butter, and Bright Mac are just such a sweet couple. The passing of time, showing them grow from a full hood crush to a legit, deep-rooted relationship, was such a treat to watch. It didn't have that Disney 3-day love story trope going on, so you actually believe these characters' feelings are strong enough to get married despite their parents' opposition, along with Pear Butter choosing the apples over the pears.
Okay, good that you're bringing it up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that elephant is called Shakespeare.
That's a terrible name for an elephant. It's like naming a pony something like Paul.
Well, there is a Joe. Anyway, chances are that if you already discussed this episode with someone or watched other reviews, somebody probably mentioned it's like Romeo and Juliet. While the setup is indeed similar, two children of rival families falling in love, marry in secret, and are probably dead at the end, which brings the rival families together, this is just a very broad observation. There's much more to Romeo and Juliet than that, and this episode is actually much different. Also, if you are making this comparison, at least mention the names Montague and Capulet.
Oh, no. I already suffered through high school English once. I am not doing it again. Let me out of here before he starts discussing the Scarlet Letter.
Seems like the stage is mine. In any case, besides the points I mentioned, there aren't really any more parallels between this episode and Romeo and Juliet. It's like saying X-Men and Harry Potter are the same because they are both set at a school for exceptional children. The characters are far too different to make it fit. Romeo is a very impulsive and hot-headed young man, characteristics that don't describe Bright Mac in the slightest, not to mention that the themes are completely different. While the Montagues and Capulets finally get over their petty feud after the death of their children, this was not exactly the message of the play. The play can be read as a commentary on the foolishness of young love, especially because Romeo and Juliet fell in love at first sight and the play takes place only over a couple of days, so their relationship had no time to prosper. In contrast, like Keyframe explained, Bright Mac and Pear Butter met each other when they were just kids, and their love grew over the years, with them meeting each other in secret for a longer period of time. So there was little doubt in their case that they really loved each other, and the decision to marry seems much more reasonable. Not to mention that they didn't kill themselves due to a stupid misunderstanding. I hope.
That wasn't even a Shakespeare piece! That was Dr. Seuss! Ugh. Idiots. Adorable, adorable idiots. Ugh. So, is the literature lecture over?
Well, we are here to review ponies and not Shakespeare. I think we can move on.
Well, in that case, then I want to bring up something that has been happening more and more often in this show. Celebrity guest voices! Ah yes, from its humble beginnings with Q to now, this show has garnered a lot of high-class actors under its belt, and to its credit, they utilize them very well. In this episode, we have 2 guest stars, Felicia Day, known for her work on the Guild and Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog as Pear Butter, and William Shatner, do I really need to state the stuff he's in, as Grand Pear. Now, in the case of Shatner, I've been hearing mixed thoughts about his utilization in the episode. Some people thought this was a waste of such a high-bar celebrity, thinking he would have fit better as the voice of a larger-than-life character like Star Swirl. But I disagree. Shatner is known for roles that involve him being campy and over the top, yeah. But that is not what makes him him. He is a well-versed, highly acclaimed actor, and I think him playing this more restricted, quiet, and somber character actually shows his talent in voice acting. To me, the mark of a voice actor, or any actor doing VA work, is that you see the character and not the person behind the mic. And for Grand Pear and Pear Butter, I saw the characters first.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that were a bit disappointed by Shatner's utilization. He delivered a great performance, no doubt about it, but I just expected something greater, especially if we look at other guest stars that appeared in the show. John Delancey as Discord, Weird Al as She Sandwich, and even Lena Hall as Rara. Those 3 immediately resonated with the fandom, and they pretty much stole the show. Shatner as Grand Pear, on the other paw, is a more somber role that is somewhat overshadowed by the fact that we finally get to see AJ's parents, one of them being voiced by another celebrity. Not only that, Felicia Day is also the one who gets a song, which is great by the way. I just would have preferred to see him more in the spotlight. That being said, I do prefer a subtle role over one that lacks any identity of its own. That they actually got Delancey to play Discord wasn't exactly planned. Discord is a fun character regardless, and She Sandwich is more than just the Weird Al pony. This is something that worries me a bit about the upcoming movie. When you look at Songbird Serenade, all you see is a Sia pony. I really hope that there's more to her.
As much fun that romance and death are to talk about, we do also need to discuss AJ's parents as characters. And they're cute. Honestly, only so much can be explored in 22 minutes, especially since the episode is interspersed with both clips of them and the Apple siblings' reactions to each memory. While they may not have the most depth outside of their relationship with each other, they do seem like genuinely nice ponies, and small actions like Pear Butter's expressions or Bright Mac's teasing does give them enough quirk to them that they don't seem as saccharine as their color schemes.
I quite enjoyed how they each have character traits in common with their children and how we learn about them through their friends. Especially Mrs. Cake's inclusion was a pleasant surprise, or should I say Chiffon Swirl, certainly a better maiden name than Spoiled Milk, isn't it? The fact that we only learn about them secondhand, or hoof, also makes some things a bit easier to accept, because frankly it really bugged me hearing Brightmack's voice coming out of that small baby. I really don't get why they went with the baby models instead of something more akin to the Cutie Mark Crusaders. I think that would have worked much better.
Yeah, hearing child voices come out of the palette swaps of Pound and Pumpkin Cake was a little bit off-putting, to say the least. What wasn't an off-putting voice, though, was Pear Butter's singing. Great segue, I know. But, oh my goodness, the song in this episode was so good. Honestly, I haven't really attached to a song since Say Goodbye to the Holiday from Season 6. But this song was just so beautiful. I'm a sucker for love songs, and in this show, a love song that is actually genuine and not a matchmaker or let's battle for the pony I obviously have mommy issues about song is actually quite rare.
Are you making fun of Big Mac for dating a girl that somewhat resembles his mother?
No, I'm concerned that the character designers knew what they were doing.
Oh my god, the implications. In any case, I still have a couple of nitpicks. For example, Goldie Delicious went quite off topic. This episode made it look like there was a specific reason for the feud other than a simple rivalry, and the romance between Brightmack and Buttercup had nothing really to do with what AJ and co were asking. Not that I mind, it just seems a bit off. The next thing is that Granny was seemingly rather accepting of her new daughter-in-law, yet still no one is allowed to mention Pierce in front of her. She also seems rather surprised to see the tree monument at the end. You would think she has seen it at some point before.
I would like to think that after an event like that, with how much pain and loss was behind Pear Butter basically giving up her family for the apples, Granny probably did not want to step hoof near that area ever again. And after the couple passed, or went into the Shadow Realm, or whatever they went to, it only adds to her reasoning to not go there. Granny and Grandpere both displayed repressed grief and guilt, not just for the loss of their children, but their own faults in the matter. Grandpere disowned his daughter and gave up the chance to see his grandchildren for a considerable amount of time, and Granny for inadvertently causing Pear to make such a hard decision like that. For someone like Granny, or any of the apples for that matter, who have such strong constitution in the concept of family bonds, it had to be at least somewhat troubling for her.
It still seems a bit strange that she didn't know about the tree or why AJ or Applebloom never asked about that pear tree on their farm. But considering how touching that scene was at the end, we can let it slide. And I guess it's time to wrap things up.
Indeed. While there are a couple continuity afterthoughts that can be counted as small issues with the Perfect Pear, I absolutely adore this episode. I am not one of those bronies that have been in the fandom since season 2 or anything, so the desire to see AJ's parents wasn't as strong for me as it was for others. But even with that, I felt so much emotion towards this episode. It introduced endearing characters, displayed the subject matter of moving on and accepting the past in a tactful, somewhat mature way, and most importantly, we got a new main style for young Granny Smith. Overall, I would say this is a good episode.
Besides the fact that it took the show 7 seasons to finally address us, there are only minor things to complain about. And I suppose rather late than never. This episode was great. I loved the new characters, the romance was surprisingly well handled, and the song is incredibly adorable and catchy. This episode is almost as perfect as the title implies.
Boo!
Let me have my puns. But what about you? Did you like this episode? Anything that bothered you? What are your thoughts on AJ's parents? Let us know in the comments.
See every pony!
Stay foxy.
Sly as a fox, you got me under your spell. But you know I'll never tell that I know you know so well. Sometimes